I'm very excited this month to be highlighting the charity Preble Street, Food Security Hub, which is a local charity in Maine that has been working since 2021 with food insecurity, bringing emergency meals, including fruits and vegetables and things, to areas of fruit deserts, lower socioeconomic status, and they are able to feed thousands of people every single day. You can go to Preble Street, that's Preble Street.org. That was one word, Preble Street. .org in order to learn more about this wonderful organization. And as always, if you do become a Patreon subscriber, a Patreon contributor to the Broken Brain, 50% of your donation will always go to Preble Street, as it does to any charity that is the charity of highlight in the month in which you join. And will be there forever and ever and ever, for as long as you're donating, that is. Also, quick update for everyone. It is August, and the end of it is not August, it is July, but next month is August. And August 31st is International Overdose Awareness Day. We are doing the annual Broken Brain live stream. It's a 5-hour live stream that takes place on August 31st, which is Monday. We will be running. There will be more information available on that. If you go to dwighthurst.com/live, you will see the times in different time zones, and there will be a link for you to view this over our YouTube channel or other social media outlets. And there will be another link in which, as it's happening, in which you can join the live stream yourself if you have anything to say about mental health, about overdose protections and preventions, or just anything you want to say about being a good human being. Anyone is allowed and welcome to join the program that day. Izzy Turan is going to be joining me again to co-host, as she was so kind to do last year. I believe this is our 4th or 5th year running that we're doing this, and very, very excited to do that. So go to dwighthurst.com/live to learn more about that, and go to preblestreet.org to learn more about the wonderful work that they do.
The Broken Brain.
Recording in progress.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Broken Brain. It's great to have you all joining today, wherever you might be joining, in your car, in your kitchen, washing dishes, whatever people do during podcasts. What do I know? I'm over here recording. I don't listen to them. That's, just kidding, everyone. Avid fans, so no judgment on anybody listening, obviously. Anyway, this is Dwight, your host. I'm here with you again to look at the intersection of culture and psychology, and as you know, bringing forth the arts, particularly talking to independent filmmakers, actors and writers and directors and filmmakers, and I'm joined by two people who fulfill a number of those roles today. We're going to be talking about the film What Tomorrow Brings, and I'm joined by Matthew Engelbert, who is the writer and director of that project, and Jolie Engelbert, who is the star of that project as well. Did I get your respective roles correct and what you did in the movie?
I'd say that's, yeah, and Jolie and her younger sister Phoebe also did have a very active role in the writing process, because I felt as when writing the script that those lines had to come more from them than from me. Look at me. How am I going to talk like a 19 or 11-year-old girl?
Yes. And I did notice that the dialogue on things, it didn't sound like it was written. A lot of dialogue sounds like it was written by a guy, number one, even women's dialogue, but also sounded like kids talking, which is good because it's all about the kids, the pair of sisters in this. It's often true that leads will carry a lot of the project, but this is the type of story that really, for Julian and Phoebe, really rested on your shoulders to make this work or not work, I would say. And that's got to be a lot to carry around in such an emotional story. Well, let's start out by telling people a little bit about this movie, what led you to make it, and also maybe give a little synopsis for people. What's the IMDb paragraph that you would put up?
Yeah, it's a story about what happens when mom and dad are gone, are not present, and where in this case, and I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to, right? But we do know that the older sister, played by Jolie, the older sister Clara, is carrying something very traumatic on her shoulders, but she has to care for and provide for a younger sister. And we see basically over like a 3-month period of time, her desperately trying to do that and spiraling to the breaking point. Mm-hmm. So that's truly what this is about. It came from a certain set of events that I had a close friend live through, but what always haunted me was what if there was no one there for the young kids? No one, no parent, no grandparents, no aunts, no uncles, no friends. What would happen? And that's truly what this was about. And again, it's told through the lens of Clara, Jolie's character. So she is in every single scene except for a flashback or two scene, mm-hmm. A couple of flashbacks where there's a younger version of Clara playing those roles. But as you said, it is completely on her shoulders, Jolie's shoulders, and Phoebe's shoulders to carry this movie forward.
And I will say, and please tell me if I say something you want me to take out, if I say something that's too much revelatory for this stage of release. But there's never really an ideal way for someone to lose both of their parents, whether through death or circumstance or whatever. But there's definitely, I think, a perception we get if we hear someone say, "Oh, someone lost their parents." It's like, we have a certain perception of them being surrounded by community, by family, of having a whatever procedures, whether it's funerals or whether it's talking things through, or there's this you're ensconced by support, especially when you're young. We're all here for you, and as you're putting it, this is that would certainly be. We wouldn't call it ideal usually, but it's definitely more of an ideal than saying like, "They're gone, just us." Nobody, because that right away, there's a whole different bunch of challenges that are presented. If it's like, nope, we're kids and we got nobody. Yeah. But
I would say in this situation, Clara is older than her years, right? She's the relationship she had with her father. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I would say that's true. Mm-hmm. She always had a responsibility from a young age, purely because her life was never fully easy, but it got harder as she got older.
Yeah, and she had to handle some adult situations very early on, especially when the father shared with her his concerns about mom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at an early age where the dad says, you have to be there. Yeah. You have to be the one. And it was a lot on Jolie's shoulders, because when we were writing this, I had written the story, but when we're writing the script and she's there through the whole process and filtering what this individual is going through, mm-hmm. it's a lot. And I'm sure Jolie will share with you what that process was like, having that and living with that character and being a terrific actress as she is. It was a lot. It was a lot to ask of her. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Jolie, about as you were becoming Clara and stepping into that mindset. And tell us about that experience, your approach and your experience there.
Yeah. So as an actor, I really want to be the character. So that's why it took me a while to really recover after this role, because I fully became Clara. I changed my brain chemistry. I had to rewire everything. And I really studied how, the people around me, how they act, how they hide their feelings, how they do this, that. And so I took these things and I was like, okay, I'm going to add that to my role. And I think that added another level of psychology to it. And because I wanted it to be believable, I didn't want it to be just surface. I wanted it to be something memorable. And so it took a toll on me mentally. It it was a really tricky role. And the thing is, I love doing drama. It's like my favorite thing. But wow, it really was tricky. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, actually acting that with her real life little sister. Right?
Yes, and I don't
Being in
think I
the same
mentioned
house
that.
with
Yeah, Phoebe, who plays
Yeah.
Ruby? I didn't write it down. Ruby.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little sister who you are responsible for, your character is responsible for. Yeah.
Right. So when I'm writing these scenes, by the way, I'm used to seeing Jolie putting Phoebe to bed at night. I see those moments, and I know how those are going to play out. By the way, I should, with both Jolie and Phoebe, they had they had very substantial representation going back for about 4 years, and then you had the COVID-1 and COVID-2, and then you had the writer's strike and the actor strike, and everything would get shut down. They get pinned to lead roles in movies and final callbacks to Broadway shows, and then everything would blow up. And that's like 3 or 4 years out of a kid's life, and that's what they really want to be doing. So again, when we talk about making the movie, it was like, okay, I know they could handle these roles. I've seen the types of roles she would be up for, which were these darker, dramatic roles. I don't know. I always thought she was just a sweet, nice kid, but she'd be up for these deep, dark roles.
Kind of fun though sometimes too, right? To be deep and dark.
Oh yeah, but when it's like every audition, it's like, man, I want a comedy role.
You're like, what am I?
And we actually
wanting to
did. I did have to stop. I had to conclude the production at a certain point when I realized it was starting to just sort of take over, because it's such. You saw it. It's a sad story. It's a desperately sad story, and what she went through, what she was willing to do because she felt she had to do it, but she's also just had so much love for her little sister. Writing it at times, I mean, not that I'm a tough guy, but I would start crying while I was writing different parts, and there was one scene that I was going to change that I originally wrote at the end, and it just destroyed my heart. And as the dad of 4 girls, my son, that's whatever, but my dad of 4 girls, I can't do anything more to this poor kid. It's like everybody else has to be nice, and we have to have something somewhat positive, because it was destroying me writing it. It really hurt. And so the reason the Act 3 came about was because I couldn't have it end where Act 2 ended.
Mm-hmm. Which makes a lot of sense. And as a viewer, there's different kinds of things you take away from different movies, and there's certainly types that would end right where Act 2 ended. But I think it would be, if the credits rolled right then, it would definitely be a different type of film, as where we're like,
right.
Wow,
It would be an A2. It would be an A24 movie.
Well, sure, exactly. Yeah, they we'd see that, and it would leave a lot more questions about certain things that you at least provided some indication of where the direction things would be going, where they easily could have gone a different direction.
By the way, Eli, so my son, he probably would have wanted it to end at the end of Act 2.
Well,
it's so fun. That tells you a little bit about my son.
That's why he's not. It's why you didn't give him. That's why he didn't have producer credit. Okay, now I understand. I was wondering. No, but I have a question about that for Julie, about one of the aspects of how you approached playing this situation that Clara was in and the way she reacted. And I hope I can make this question make sense, because I see this a lot when I work with and met people who have trauma, especially when they've been what we call parentified, right? And they have to carry a burden that is not appropriate for their age and just all these different things. They're still having to live in the teenage world and then living very much in an adult world. And I feel like both those worlds aren't very accepting of the things they have to do that come from the other one. So this is my question here. Like, when you think about Clara having to be in the day-to-day role of Clara versus some of the very heavy emotional, we see what's really going on. She's definitely not going to show that at school, but she is going to show it in certain circumstances. And I'll put in here too, I thought the sort of emotional climax of the movie is kind of where the credits didn't roll, thank goodness. And I thought that was so powerful, the way that you portrayed that. But anyway, so tell me if this makes sense. I'm kind of like saying, how do you play Clara, who is trying to hide things sometimes, and then Clara, who is letting it out and experiencing it? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah, I really had to like imagine myself how I would react to how I would be in these situations. Like at school, how would I hide what's going on? If I'm around like Lindsay, how would I put on this facade and say, oh yeah, I'm good, And so it came in like the way I would talk or how I would look away at certain moments. If I was like trying to hide like what I was really feeling. But like during like the breakdown, I just let it all out. I mean, those were like real emotions during that scene. I didn't have any tear stick. Those were real tears.
Yeah.
And now we did that in one take, and I was like, I cannot do that again because it was so emotional, and I felt so drained after because I really just imagined being in that situation, in that scenario, and it's
I thought her instincts were really strong when, especially like the times when she would talk to Lindsay, right? She was so adult. She was so put together. But of course, again, the audience doesn't know why she's asking these questions, right? And she does it so well that Lindsay's character doesn't realize what she's holding. And Lindsay's a very intelligent character, right? She's a very smart attorney, and again, she's sort of right. She sees a black eye, and she wonders where the black, but she doesn't put it together because, again, I think Jolie's instincts and the way she delivered those lines was spot on. I mean, I'm watching it from behind the camera, and I'm like, oh, I'm believing it. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not what happened.
Well, it's very interesting, especially little bits like that. I thought it was an interesting choice that, for example, the black eye makes Lindsay, the attorney, the family attorney character, suspicious, but suspicious of all the wrong things. It's not actually indicative. I mean, it's sort of tangentially, it's triggered by a series of events because of what's going on, but it's not the thing you think of when you see a kid with a black eye. You think, especially someone Lindsay's career experience, probably, I know what I think might be going on. No, wait, it's not. Wait, hold on. and playing it like there's something off about this situation, but what is it? And then you've got Clara demonstrating, and I think kids who are in that position, they get very good at acting like nothing's going on. And on the same token, probably thinking that they're convincing people more than they are. Like Clara may not have picked up as early that Lindsay's suspicious. She's like, I'm off. But yet it's like, no, I got this. She doesn't know. Kind of it reminds me of something I've heard actors say about like if someone is playing a character who is drunk or otherwise intoxicated, people who are drunk don't act like they're drunk. They act like they're trying not to let people know they're drunk. Right?
Yeah, we watch those videos with the police pulling the person over. I know, I love those videos.
Yes, right.
I'm not drunk. It's like falling out of the car. But trying.
So you have to act like someone who is going through this active trauma and then act like you're trying not to act like you're going through this trauma. So there's these two layers that I thought found pretty fascinating.
And she knows that she's lying too,
yes.
and she's doing it because, again, she has one goal, and that's to care for and protect Ruby. So she doesn't know, can she fully trust Lindsay? Who can she trust? I mean, it's and I tried with writing, I tried to throw those little things in. So like when the school teacher says, oh, I'm going to need to have a parent-teacher conference. And that's the first time where even Ruby gets in online. Mm-hmm. And it was, I tried to have those deflections going on throughout so that, again, the viewer wouldn't know either until we all find out together. And but there are subtle things in there that if you go back, you'll realize, oh, wait a minute. oh, how did I miss that? But that was there. Yeah.
Is there. Yes. And and I think that in a way, I mean, to me, I felt like even though we're seeing the inside of the situation, Lindsay, the sort of like interested adult who has the tools to help if she can only figure out what to do, I felt like she was kind of our stand-in as the audience, kind of being like, we can see, but yet maybe we don't fully know it, because it's like we can see what's going on inside. So we think we have all the info of what Claire's going through. But at the same time, we're also the person who's like, ooh, yeah, what can be done here? One of the things that hit me too is that, at least on screen, Clara never tells Ruby, don't tell nobody, you know, you need to say this when the teacher asks. Maybe that happened off screen. We could presume that either did or didn't, but Ruby knows. I can't tell the teacher what's really going on. That's not.
But Ruby doesn't. But Ruby doesn't know what's really going on.
Right.
Ruby does not know. She finds out. She finds out in Act 3, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't, and that was intentional because that would have been horrifying.
Yeah.
I think for her to know the truth, and again, Clara is protecting her from the truth, right? Mom said she's leaving, and right early on, she said she's going away, and so she goes away, and we realize she's not there that morning of Ruby's birthday. She's left keys and the credit card. So while she's gone, you know, her sister can care for her.
And it's interesting the things that kids do know. And as you're doing this project, I wonder how much you think about this. That, I mean, Ruby has got to know that everything's not cool. Right. There's something about, obviously, even just the overt treatment she receives from her mom and things like that. But also just being like, yeah, this isn't, just something off. Once again, something's off. And kids do pick up on that, even if they know, oh, yeah, she'll be back soon. When it's like, one thing Ruby definitely knows is that we probably don't know that, other than you said she'll be back soon. But yeah, I don't know. I've got that sense of like, what does Ruby know and what is she protected from, and how much is she opting into saying, yeah, please protect me from this.
And we don't get, I mean, we do leave that to the viewer, because I think Ruby's smart.
Yeah.
Right. Ruby's a very smart kid, but she's going to completely trust and have faith in in Clara, who's really been the mom figure.
Well,
and has been the mom figure for a while.
Right.
Even before the loss of Dad, it seems this family's solution to the deeper problems was Clara will handle it. Clara will come up with something. Clara will take care of it. To some extent, that was all. It seemed like that was always the case, at least from. I mean, she wasn't very old when Dad was telling her, "Hey, your mom is not up to this," and by this I mean life, maybe even to you know, and the difficulty.
She wasn't well. She was dealing right, and that's why she had to go away. She has to go away for help, but Dad. Right. Dad realizes that. And I think Dad realizes there's something very special about Clara too. Dad doesn't strike me as someone who is a bad guy. Unfortunately he was physically, and I mean, he was dying of cancer. And so he would have loved to have been alone. Right. Their relationship was what? They're
close. I mean, that was her strong bond, and she lost at a young age. And so I think she always had to know, like, I have to be there for my sister and be like basically the mother figure, or else they wouldn't be able to survive.
Well, she doesn't have one. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think sometimes when people have that strength, because absolutely right, I didn't get the vibe at all that Dad was a bad guy, but he was leaning back on this solution, because when someone's strong, it's like Clara can take it. We know that. And so it's easy for, in different ways, for Dad to say, I need you to look out for your sister. And why wouldn't you want your older kid to look out for the younger kid? For Mom to say, whether I say it out loud or not, you're doing everything. And for Ruby, who's a kid, to say, please don't ever leave me alone, and things like that are very natural for people in the shoes of those characters to say. And here Clara's natural inclination, it seems, was to step up, and even at her own detriment.
Yeah, and with Ruby, we see a couple situations. Number one, when you say, "Does she know something's wrong?" In the restaurant
Yeah.
scene, there's that voiceover, which we use the voiceover quite a bit, and you're looking at Ruby, and what does Clara say to the effect of,
Wait.
when she knows something's wrong? She's so smart. She knows something's wrong,
hmm
right? And she's looking at the pictures that Ruby had
Oh
drawn,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what was
I was
it
also
about?
thinking of like when she got the black eye.
Yeah.
hmm
Well,
Like I think Ruby is very sensitive and she knows when something's wrong. She just can't pinpoint it because she's so young. And so I think she just tries to be there for her sister as like a way to help her feel better.
and yeah, no, I think that's true. And of course, with this movie, every moment being told through the lens of Clara, we don't get inside the head of Ruby. You know, it would have been interesting maybe if the movie, a different movie, which shows how she was reacting to each of these moments, seeing all of these what I call body blows that were happening to Clara. It was just one thing after another while she's just trying to hang on. And I mean, what
Well, I've got the sense too that every time that Clara did try to do something that worked for her and that was kind of for her, there was a perceived or actual punishment. Let's say, because even her friends were like, "You can't let us down." Yeah, and even with high consequence, or even like, "I can do this real quick," and even for Ruby, it's like, "Oh." And her own feelings probably amplify how much it really hurts Ruby or whatever. It's like, no, it's got to be all about her, not just, there's no room
Right.
for Clara at some point. That's what it feels. And I'm curious for
That's absolutely.
yeah, Julie, as you were playing Clara that way, you mentioned some of the different ways that you started to think. And I'm curious about that, being in the shoes of someone who's like, it's not about me. In fact, it is wrong if it's about me at all at age 17, 18. How old was Clara in the time of the movie?
She was probably 17 in a movie. Yeah, I was
Okay.
16, 17 while filming. So
Yeah.
just
Right, so she was going to be getting close to 18 for the age, because remember when she's asking about how old do you have
well,
to
she
be?
was almost
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, right. And which, by the way, it goes back to, I think that there's even a couple of lines about this where it's like, if anybody, this is over. If so, I won't be allowed to take care of Ruby if anybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what did you find that you started to feel or think that was different than maybe when you're not playing this role?
It was now I'm like already a people pleaser, but I felt like it was more amplified. Like, oh, I have to please everybody. I have to make sure everyone's comfortable rather than making sure I feel comfortable in a situation. Like, I have to put everyone's feelings first. And she's a very selfless character. And so she's always in protect mode, even with her friends. And so, like, when she pushed away her boyfriend, like, it was really just to protect him from her emotions, like, weighing down everyone. Because she can only handle giving all of her positivity to Ruby because that's the person that matters most to her at that time. And of course, ever. But at that moment, has to save all of her energy just to make sure Ruby is comfortable and feels safe.
Yeah, and I thought she did such a great job with that. And then I thought, and then when it's just over, it's like she just was completely void of everything because she had given everything, and
Mhm.
and those are hard scenes to film. Even leading up to the scene where she finally shares everything that's been going on. Right, even when they're walking through the woods and it's just snowing out, they're breathing the smoke. It's so cold, and she goes, "I have one last idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm gonna make a tent. We're gonna do something fun."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows that she's out of options. But even at that moment, she's still desperately trying to think, I could do one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
It hit me too. There's even the question of what would help. And for Clara, it seemed like that was almost like she's just trying to survive day to day. It's like, what would actually be helpful? She's kind of kicking around ideas, but they're all oriented around what she can do and what she can control, which I could definitely get, where Clara may not be in a position to say, yeah, I'm going to really trust other people who are in power, or especially authority figures. And it hit me, by the way, there was even a line where her boyfriend is saying, who seemed like a character, very, very, playing a very, very nice kid. Nothing wrong here with the kid's personality or what, but for him, they're on a date and there's a well-intentioned gesture he makes, like where it's like, hey, number one, I get it. Whatever you need to do. And then he says, let's just the rest of this date, just have fun. And it was interesting because it hit me two ways. I was like, that's a very nice gesture to want to give to your girlfriend. On the other hand, that's another task for Clara to manage, which is like, okay, great. Let's pretend I'm having fun and I don't have these worries. It's like, you can interpret it that way to say everybody's like, here's another thing for you to do. I think it's helpful. and at least
I thought Emmanuel, the young man who played that, I thought he was such a sweet kid. I didn't realize that there was an ulterior motive. It's all about him.
Oh no,
if you're watching
but I think that's the problem sometimes when people well-intentioned do try to help, even things that would be helpful if we were in a normal situation, maybe. And maybe, anyway, it just hit me that it's kind of like a great guy could do a thing, a great person can try to do a thing, and it can totally backfire.
Right. And by the way, and I think that happens a lot, right? We're trying to lighten the situation, and maybe we're making it worse, and sometimes maybe we're not. I think with this character, he was somebody, again, they'd been best friends since the second grade, and he is sort of this nice
Absolutely.
kid, and he's not typical, but again,
doesn't know how to help. Right. Yeah.
Right. And so he'll make a joke like, I didn't get another vote for prom. I didn't get a single vote for prom king. He's trying to just be like, hey, I've always been able to make you laugh. And
it hit me that way too, that he sees what everyone else sees. I think it's important to point out that strong people don't pretend to be strong. They are strong. Like Claire's not pretending to be strong. She is strong. But then it's like, but there's limits to what she can do, even if she believes there shouldn't be,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Huh.
And with the scene where Ruby is sick, where Ruby, and the temperature keeps going up higher and up. By the way, I checked with what are those doctors called? Yes, a pediatrician. These are okay. This works, right? I can't go up to 109, can I? No, okay. We'll just go to 105 point, whatever. It gets to the radio dial. And, and I think the audience might get even a little frustrated with Claire. Like, take her to the doctor, take her to the ER. And she sort of wants to, but what can she... It's a dilemma. It's a horrible dilemma. And again, it takes a while for us to understand.
Yes. Well, and even just those, even with someone who is highly strong and highly mature for their age, you don't have the experience to say, oh, the car's not starting, I guess I'll leave it here. Right? It's like, we don't know, what do I try even? Are there a few things I can fiddle with, or do I know who to call, or do I know, or whatever? It's like, I don't know. I never had that happen before. Just little things like that. I could see where, taking care of someone who's like, I know this is bad, but what do I do? Do I go to a hospital where they're going to take her away? I could totally see that fear, and there, all those, like, everything is more complicated than it should be if you had a household or even a grown up who's like, I know how to do things, let's call this number before we do this, before we do that, instead of just be like, I don't know. What do I do? I'm a 17-year-old who I don't know how to do I even know how to call Instacare before I go to the ER, or do I, go there? And then when people ask questions and they're like, you're 17, you can't sign off on, they're going to want to talk to my mom who I don't have access to. And I could just see everything has this level of complexity. I thought you communicated, speaking of nonverbal communication, there's a part where there's an issue with payment at a certain time, and I see Clara like fishing around, and it hit me. I'm like, she probably knows she doesn't have any money. She doesn't have an alternate way to pay, but she's still looking actively for something I can do, which I thought was really good nonverbal communication, where you're just like, where there's got to get what,
I love that takeaway. It wasn't, and again, those things aren't in the notes of Clara starts fishing through purse for, right, and the script would have been take it, use your instincts here. And so that's great. I hadn't even thought of that. I love that. And again, there are different things that I'll see that she did, and I'll say to her afterwards, I'll be watching the movie, I'll say, gosh, that was just, there's a scene where she's talking with Lindsay and she's looking out the window, right? And looking out the window, she sort of confesses something that, but she's not looking Lindsay in the eye when she says that. And then she goes, oh, I'll try to be more honest with you. And Lindsay really appreciates that. But of course, it's still just a completely half truth of even that.
Yeah.
But I thought that the instinct to be looking out the window, saying that line without saying it directly, looking into the eyes, was just and that's what told me she was just into the role and into the moment and knew the assignment so well, so much better than I could.
Yeah. Because I think she does have a lot of guilt also. So she can't, I think because she wants to tell the truth to Lindsay, but she just knows she can't. And so she looks away because she knows she can't handle looking at someone while lying, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, she's by nature, obviously a good person and not wanting to be hiding things, right? At the same time, knowing that the stakes, and, the stakes are so high for complete disclosure and honesty. As soon as I say everything, she loses complete control of the situation, because this is an adult who's going to say, I'm going to do adult things now. And once again, even doing the correct thing, if somebody, a teacher, whoever, was like, I know what's going on, I need to contact Child Protective Services, I need to do this. That's not the wrong thing to do, but it would change this whole dynamic of what Claire is trying to do for Ruby, and which is also not the wrong thing to do. So very, very difficult when all these good, right things to do are counter to each other.
And I think it's really insightful, because that was the reason why with the story it was going to be told through her lens. So we never would see a conversation between Graham and Lindsay. We'd never see a conversation where Ruby's at school and what's going on. Every moment is, because again, we see at the very outset of the movie, the very first scene, as Dr. McAdams says this will help, and she begins or attempts to start writing in a journal. Well, so doctor writing in a journal. Okay, so every one of these moments is writing in a journal. And I think one thing that's interesting, I think some people don't fully get, or they do, and it's the time frame that this movie takes place, right? So the first time she's writing in the journal is obviously after, we'll call it whatever kind of a rescue we're going to call it. So then she's recounting what happened 3 months earlier, right? And then where the movie ends is 6 months after this rescue. And so so some people think, oh, wow, that turned around so fast. Well, it didn't really turn around that fast. Time has passed, but we don't put in the underneath 6 months later,
right? Because
we sort of get an idea that, oh, now it's summertime.
Well, and sometimes that's obnoxious in movies.
Right? People can give them some credit, right?
Well, I think, you hear those stories where they say that a lot of times with this is what I love about indie, as you get to make choices in big production studios where they say, plan on people only looking at the screen a third of the time because they have their phones out or something like that. It's like, you have to have someone say, well, now that it's been, or some drastically different haircut or something. But
that's right. That's absolutely right.
I've got this new facial tattoo. So now we know what takes place in the future. I wanted to ask something about, this is kind of a technical or logistical question about the way you get. This is obviously a labor of love, a family project, something that you all just did, which is very impressive to me. Can you tell people a little bit about that for both of you? Like, this is a family pitching together to make this movie, and just even how you accomplished that.
Well, first, if you want to share, I mean, you wanted to act,
Yeah,
right?
because I finally I was rejected by another thing I was so close to getting, and I finally just hit a wall. I was like, I am so annoyed. I want to be in something. We have to create something. I literally went that day. I was like, we're creating something. I don't know how, but we're going to do it.
And that's true. And I love that because she would get very far in these callback situations. And during, like I said, during COVID, she actually had gotten pinned to a lead in the movie, and then the movie never got made. So that's hard as a kid, especially. You're working hard, you're going through these. But then she did. We're not going to name the production, but she was very close. In fact, I'd gone out and renewed all of our passports because I thought this was, and it didn't happen. And it hit her like a ton of bricks. And she was never hit by
Well, that did happen, but
but it never hit her before like a ton of bricks where she was just like, oh, no. I'm a little bit pissed off now. Dad, I'm pretty angry.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I've been living with this story for a long time. I want to do it. I really want to do it. So it was like I forgot what month it was. I started writing this long treatment, not a long a treatment, not a long a treatment, and then we liked the treatment. The story was a cool story, and then I started writing the script. I think it was early August. I went back to it. Early August, I wrote it in about 45 days.
Wow.
The script. And I thought I'd written it in about 40 days, but I showed it to Mom, who played Dr. McAdams off screen. And she goes, I just don't know why they would do this. And she was talking about the characters of Graham and Lindsay. And I thought, you know what? Okay, so I wrote in some additional scenes for Graham, especially that scene in the kitchen where we realized, oh, he had lost something, and then I didn't want to waste time. I knew who I wanted to play these roles. I did again. Jolie could handle that role. Phoebe, again, she was up for big roles on both Broadway and in film and in television. She could handle it. I had no doubts about that. I knew my son Eli could handle the sound, and of course, he made the soundtrack. And I thought the soundtrack, he was tasked with really being Clara's mind. What was she feeling? What were those? Because there's this complete tension throughout the entire movie with that soundtrack. Even those happy scenes, where you think, oh, this is a happy scene. You're listening to the soundtrack, you're going, what the hell's going on?
There was a couple, moments where I was like, what's going on? Because that's interesting. So there was kind of it sounds like the point being made that it's like during, especially some of those happy scenes were representative of you barely holding it together for Ruby. And it's like, there's something right here. We may be we're having fun and doing this, but this could go very bad. Yeah. That's interesting. That's an interesting choice.
But I thought one was really interesting was the Halloween scene where Ruby had been sick, so she had missed Halloween, and she has this really special thing that she plans, and this music's almost manic because she's happy but the world's falling apart, but she has this one moment she's happy, but the music is so manic. So I was really proud of Eli with all of that, but he did the sound and the soundtrack. And so Ariel and Zoe and Eli, again, they had their 2 TV shows in the past. They know what they're doing. Ariel really worked as my assistant behind the scenes, and she played the role of the teacher. Zoe had gotten her cosmetology license, so she did hair and makeup and did some pretty good stuff in a couple of scenes in particular. I thought she had some great ideas. And Zoe also played the role of Nikki, who was the bass player in the band. That's Zoe.
Oh wow. Okay.
I also tasked Zoe with, as we know at the beginning of the movie, Clara's a singer in a band and she loves it. And like you said, everything has to be put away, and that just becomes non-existent in her life until at the very end she shares with Dr. McAdams that she's writing music again. And I tasked Zoe. So Ariel, Zoe, and Eli, they're the youngest ever to be nominated for a Daytime Emmy and Outstanding Original Song. They were really young. They're probably 30 years younger than anybody to ever get in that category.
Wow.
And they co-wrote it. They did co-write it with Jim Peterick, who wrote Eye of the Tiger and The Search is Over, because it was part of their TV show. But Zoe actually had taken the lead on that one, and it was this beautiful song. But I tasked Zoe with writing a song for this cathartic moment at the end of a movie. So you take a real risk adding a song at the end of a movie. You do. Number one, she's a great singer, because that's how she got started. That's how she got found by the agent early on. The agent was the first one also to have signed Ariana Grande and Britney Spears and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And so that's who Jolie was originally signed with. And so Zoe wrote this beautiful song. I thought, you know what? It just really works. That Caroline, my wife, would be able to roast that Thanksgiving turkey, and she'd be able to
Thanksgiving scene.
the same.
We ate all the food.
Side note about the Thanksgiving scene. That all that food was supposed to be, I didn't know. You could say it was supposed to be.
We were supposed to eat it with everyone after, so we thought she split it. And we ate all the food. And they were like, so where's our food? And we were like, your food.
The crew was waiting anxiously around the big giant table. And Caroline, my wife, comes to me and goes, when are you going to... I said, wait, that's... Oh. Oops. Okay, call McDonald's, go pick up from McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. What are we going to do?
Sorry.
So, but, and I had such great support, even from my mom and dad, who have always said, yeah, just go for it. Do these, even when we had the TV shows. And so it really was this incredible family affair. Now, one thing that was very interesting was we shot the movie. By the way, so I directed... I also did the lighting, which you'll go, oh gosh, who did the lighting? I did the lighting, and also the camera. The camera, I chose to use the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It was the first iPhone you could shoot in log. And I knew I wasn't going to be hiring other camera operators, because the way I knew we were going to be shooting this movie was when, by the way, I'm being attacked by my puppy right now as I'm talking. So I am actually... I think doing a remarkable
You're
job.
You're doing the same
of
thing, the two layers of like, I'm in distress, but acting not like I'm in distress, right?
I am, come here. Come here and meet Dwight, because I am multitasking right here.
I'm waiting to hear what role he played in the movie. I'm trying to remember if I saw him.
I wish I had
The next one.
This is Teddy.
Oh.
Yeah,
He wasn't even born yet.
So he has been constantly biting me, and if you hear a gnawing sound, at least he's been eating a bone. But the poor guy, he's been sick the past couple days. So I told him he's like Velcro with me. So I'll let him bite my hand. It's going to be a bloody stump at the end of this.
But it would be sacrifice for art.
For Dwight, we're doing it for.
Oh, nice.
So
never had someone lose a hand for me. I appreciate it.
There's always a first for everything. And so I said to my son, who was really against the idea of shooting with the iPhone, he wanted me to rent an Ari or a Red, and I said, well, let's shoot our first scene. And the first scene was actually, we didn't shoot, of course, in order, was after that birthday evening when Clara gives Ruby peaches.
The poster.
Oh, that's actually the poster is actually a screenshot from that one scene. Wow. But and so I said, let's just try it, and if you hate it, I'll figure it out. Well, it's gonna be a lot of extra work, but we'll do it. I didn't want to just be saving money. I really wanted to make something special. It wasn't just a passion project. It was, are we making a movie? If we're making a movie, let's make a real movie. So we we actually shot that. Ariel, Zoe, and Eli have a condo in Ann Arbor. We shot a lot of the scenes there. And downstairs in the condo is where Eli's studio is. So we put it into the system. We looked at it on the screen and we go, wow, yeah, that's really good. And Eli says, okay, we could do it. And so the next day I went to the mall and I bought 2 more iPhone 15 Pro Max. And I used a B-script anamorphic lens. And I just felt it worked. And for those scenes where you're up close and personal and it's such an emotional type of a film, not having a big camera in your face was actually, I think, helpful.
Yeah.
And so Eli was just an incredible resource. And Jolie was just always on. She was always ready. She knew at any day we could be filming something. Mm-hmm. One of the craziest things, of course, was the snow scene. What happened that night? We were eating dinner and it was snowing.
Oh, yeah. And so usually we have very white winters in Michigan. This was the most non-snowy year ever because we were supposed to have like a sledding scene. We had to take that out, change it, because there was no snow, and so we were eating dinner. We're like, it's snowing. We got to get outside. So we were outside.
It was dumping with snow. I mean, it was.
Was it 2 hours we were out there for? It felt like 2 hours if it was, but it was so cold. I was like, I want to go.
There might be some child labor laws. So no, we were out there for 3 minutes, and we had a nice toasty cabin for them to.
Right, sure, I get it. Yeah,
you can edit that part out. Yeah.
Well, I'm an adult now.
So, what was crazy? It was just. I told Phoebe and Jolie, I said, okay, grab your snowsuit. And I grabbed the 2 Coleman lanterns and I put them in the back of the car. And it was just the 3 of us. That was just the iPhone, me, and the 2 of them.
And that, by the way, the result of that, watching where they're both carrying the lanterns, it was one of the times of several times in the movie where it just hit the starkness of their situation and the loneliness too. They have each other, but there's also the loneliness of we do not have backup, as it turns out, more than they thought. But to say, yeah, we do not have anything, but there's no safety net here. We're just out here wandering with a little ball of light around us in a very dark world. It
was another cool. I thought I was really proud of Eli again with the soundtrack on that particular scene. And it's funny, he was actually playing guitar. It was this like $30 piece of junk guitar he had found. It was like just this wrecked guitar, but he loved it for that scene, playing that weird riff over and over again. And it just, again, it captured that. It was just desolate. It was right. It was sort of that penultimate scene.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it so much that you guys are coming on here and talking about it. A thought that was coming through my mind as you're discussing that is something my grandpa used to say, where there's always reasons not to do something. And he used to say that, you need to, you're aware of all the reasons not to do a thing. And he said, sometimes then the next thing you should do is go ahead and do it anyway. And to say that for you guys, I'm sure once again, there's probably lots of occasions or moments during this where it's like, wow, this is a lot. And there's tons of reasons not to do it. But then to say, we want a thing, so we're going to make a thing, It's admirable. It's very impressive.
It was the most stressful thing I've ever done. But again, if I didn't have the family, it wouldn't have been done. Phoebe and Jolie didn't give me 1 ounce of stress. There was none of the stress. The stress was, am I doing them justice with this? I felt that their acting was great. And so with my work with setting the camera, was let them act. Don't get in the way of it. Meaning don't let me get in the way of what they're doing.
Awesome. Well, let's say I want to give everybody a chance to learn a little bit about where they follow your work and where to find this. But first, I always like to ask people if they can share anything with the audience about a way of giving back to the community around us. We'll have to highlight charities and nonprofits and other ways of giving back. Is there anything that you could share with our listeners about things that you believe in?
I think a couple organizations that are great. Again, ASPA and JED. JED was founded by parents of a young man who died by suicide, and drawing attention to the fact that so many people are dealing with incredible traumas. And it's something I was really struck by with people who've watched the film. And even though their trauma was different than Clara's trauma, they identified with Clara. And it struck me that trauma is trauma. And you need to find somebody to reach out to. There is somebody out there who can help. I really do believe that. And you have, I don't want to tell people you have to do, but you have value. You are worth it, and you are worthy. And just there are resources out there. So JED and ASPA, if it happens to be with suicide, and there are other great mental health organizations. Just call, and they have resources. And there's people on the other end of a line who will talk to you, right, and they'll help you. Because it's the saddest thing in the world to think that people are struggling in such a terrible way, in such darkness, when they don't have to.
Yes. I appreciate that. And that comes across in your project too, about the sense of community and the help we can find. Ultimately clarifying that found that she didn't have to do it alone. Ultimately, although she was put in that position, right? To anyway.
But there was an interesting moment of fate that struck. And if she hadn't gone and talked to Lindsay that first time she met her at school, then it would have ended after Act 2.
Yes, exactly. And not in a good way.
So again, it was it was a cry for help when nobody realized it. Lindsay didn't realize this was a real cry for help, although Lindsay. So, I know I've probably spoken too much there.
Not at all. No, I appreciate it. And I thank you for sharing that too. Well, where do people follow y'all, your work, their socials? Is there a webpage landing and where are we going to see, is there any distribution news or anything yet?
Yeah. So first of all, our Instagram page, you can follow us, is
What Tomorrow Brings Movie.
What Tomorrow Brings Movie. Yes, good.
Yes.
I was like, wait, what? I actually drew a blank for a moment. So Instagram really is our prime landing spot for that. Something so exciting was receiving a distribution deal with Buffalo 8. Didn't know we were good. Making it, obviously, I dreamt that we would get distribution. I was hoping we'd get distribution, and being so naive, I didn't know shooting with an iPhone that maybe we'd be held back. Something called quality control that goes through it goes to a third party, and they decide if it's worthy enough with the audio and the visual. I'm like, wait, what? So, right. And July 24th, it comes out on Amazon. You can rent it there, and you can get early. What's that? Another phone that came out yesterday? Fandango. Fandango is available.
Okay.
You can pre-order on Fandango if Fandango is your thing. And then a couple months after that, it will go to a more wide streaming. And I don't know exactly where that's going to be just yet. But very grateful for Buffalo 8 for believing in it. And this is so fun. This is you're our first interview post the festival conversations we've had.
That's such an honor for me. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor for us.
Telling me that
You're
I
awesome.
Wouldn't have known.
That was it. We did have that short festival run, and that was pretty rewarding because Jolie received
Best Actress. Yeah.
Best Actress at Santa Fe Film Festival. That was in February of 25, and
awesome.
It was so exciting to hear her name called, and I know she was shocked.
Well, you put so much into it. I mean, to see to see the emotion that comes across when it needs to, and like I say, the whatever else I want to call it, the portrayal of the suppression of emotion was something that I found particularly impressive, because I think of that as even a little more complicated than the emotion. So, this has been so great. Quick reminder for everybody that is listening out there as well. We, as you heard up front, along with highlighting charities, especially local charities, we had our charity mentioned up at the very, very intro before we got into the interview, as we're looking at food deficit and the charitable help in Maine that they're doing, particularly in that community, bringing food, particularly fruits and vegetables, to those who are not otherwise finding food. And for anyone who decides to support the Broken Brain, if you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/brokenbrain, 50% of your donation will always go to the charitable organization that we are highlighting in the month in which you join, and we'll keep going there as long as you are a contributor. So thank you for everybody who is doing that, as well as helping to promote the work we're trying to do and getting these messages out there. So Matt, Jolie?
One last thing.
Please.
You can follow Jolie on Instagram at
where's
real
that?
Jolie. Yeah, the real Jolie Engelbert.
Yes.
Joely Engelbert. She's got a pretty cool following there.
Also, excuse my
Wonderful.
expressions. My dog is destroying my shoe over here. The soul is out of it.
You lost a shoe. You lost a hand. My word.
Yes.
This has been. I
also
appreciate
lost my
the
hand. He was
commitment.
chewing my
My
hand.
word. People can also see. People can see this in the title, or they can see this in the show notes as well. But Jolie, also spelled Joely, than the real Jolie Engelbert on Instagram. Great. Let's get that out there as well. I really appreciate that. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dwight. It was nice meeting you.